Good morning. We're coming to you live with breaking news unfolding in the village of Ruidoso, New Mexico. Breaking news from Ruidoso, New Mexico, a picturesque mountain town now facing an unprecedented crisis. A catastrophic flash flood emergency is underway, and the situation is rapidly deteriorating. Relentless downpours have overwhelmed this mountain village, with rainfall totals exceeding anything seen in recent memory. What were once peaceful streams are now raging rivers, surging with immense power and threatening everything in their path. The sheer volume of water is testing the community's infrastructure to its limits, pushing it to the breaking point. Roads are impassable, making travel in and out of the area extremely dangerous, if not impossible. Bridges are threatened, with some already showing signs of structural damage from the relentless water pressure. And the ground is dangerously unstable, saturated with water and prone to landslides and mudslides. The risk of further collapse is very real. The crisis is compounded by last year's devastating wildfires, which have left the landscape particularly vulnerable. Those burn scars now funnel water, mud, and debris with alarming efficiency, exacerbating the flooding situation. This toxic mixture is surging into the heart of Ruidoso, overwhelming drainage systems and causing widespread damage. Residents are waking up to homes surrounded by water, many finding themselves trapped and in need of immediate assistance. Streets transformed into torrents, carrying debris and posing a significant threat to anyone caught in their path. The floodwaters have effectively created an isolated community, cut off from the outside world and desperately in need of support. Emergency alerts are blaring, warning residents of the imminent danger and urging them to take immediate action. This is a life-threatening situation, and residents are urged to heed the warnings and follow the instructions of emergency personnel. The focus is entirely on saving lives. Rescue teams are working tirelessly to reach those who are stranded and bring them to safety. Getting people to higher ground is the top priority, with evacuation centers being established to provide shelter and support. Authorities are navigating the overwhelming challenges of this disaster, coordinating resources and working to restore order amidst the chaos. This is a historic flood, an unprecedented event that will leave a lasting mark on the community of Ruidoso. The sense of security has vanished for so many, replaced by the harsh reality of the devastation that surrounds them. The focus has shifted entirely to urgent survival, as residents grapple with the immediate threat to their lives and livelihoods. For Ruidoso, this is a moment of profound fear and uncertainty, as the community faces an uncertain future in the wake of this catastrophic flood. The emergency is driven by relentless rainfall, far beyond what the land can absorb. Storms have stalled over the burn scars from last year's wildfires, dumping inches of rain per hour. With vegetation gone, the ground acts like pavement, sending water rushing downhill almost instantly. The result, a flash flood of mud, ash, and debris, moving with terrifying speed and power. Rivers have crested their banks in minutes, leaving residents little time to react. The velocity of the water is sweeping away vehicles, uprooting trees, and moving boulders. This disaster highlights the vulnerability of communities living in the aftermath of wildfire. The rain is falling on a wounded landscape, unable to protect those below. The link between fire and flood is tragically clear in Ruidoso today. The National Weather Service in Albuquerque has issued a rare and urgent flash flood emergency for the village of Ruidoso and surrounding areas. This designation is reserved for the most dire and life-threatening flood events, signaling the extreme danger facing the community. It's a call to action, emphasizing the immediate need for residents to take precautions and seek safety. Radar imagery indicates rainfall rates of 3 to 4 inches per hour are occurring over the burn scars left by recent wildfires. These areas are particularly vulnerable, as the vegetation that once absorbed rainfall has been destroyed, leaving the soil exposed and unable to effectively manage the deluge. This intense rainfall is far more than the already compromised land can handle. The denuded landscape struggles to absorb the water, leading to rapid runoff and escalating the risk of flash flooding and dangerous mudslides. The ground, stripped of its natural defenses, simply cannot cope with this level of precipitation. Consequently, floodwaters have already inundated numerous homes and businesses throughout the region. The rapid rise of water levels has caught many by surprise, leaving residents scrambling to protect their property and seek higher ground. The impact on local businesses is significant, with many facing substantial damage and potential closures. The situation is especially critical in low-lying areas situated along the Rio Ruidoso, where the river has breached its banks and is continuing to rise. These areas are experiencing the most severe flooding, with water levels reaching dangerous heights and posing a significant threat to life and property. Roads and bridges are completely submerged or have been washed out entirely by the force of the floodwaters. This damage is not only disrupting transportation, but also hindering emergency services from reaching those in need. The infrastructure damage is extensive and will require significant repairs. This has resulted in isolating parts of the community, effectively cutting them off from assistance and significantly hampering ongoing rescue efforts. Emergency responders are facing immense challenges in navigating the flooded terrain and reaching those who are stranded. Major highways and even local roads are now impassable due to the floodwaters, creating widespread travel disruptions and further complicating evacuation procedures. Vehicles are stranded, and travel is strongly discouraged unless absolutely necessary. This is making both evacuation and emergency response efforts extremely difficult and dangerous. First responders are working tirelessly to reach those in need, but the challenging conditions are slowing their progress and increasing the risks involved. The situation on the ground is changing rapidly, evolving by the minute as floodwaters continue to rise and new areas become affected. Constant monitoring and reassessment are crucial to adapting to the dynamic nature of this emergency. Compounding the problem, there is more rain in the immediate forecast, threatening to exacerbate the already critical flooding situation. This additional rainfall will further saturate the ground and increase the risk of additional flash floods and mudslides. The National Weather Service is utilizing every available communication channel to urgently urge people in the affected areas to take immediate action. They are broadcasting warnings through radio, television, social media, and emergency alerts. Their message is clear and direct: move to higher ground now. Do not delay. Time is of the essence to ensure your safety and the safety of your loved ones. Seek shelter in the highest possible location. Their message is stark and unequivocal, leaving no room for misinterpretation. This is not a drill. This is a real and present danger that demands immediate attention. This is a threat to life, and catastrophic damage is already underway. The situation is dire, and the potential for further devastation is significant. The severity of this event cannot be understated. The gravity of the situation cannot be overstated. The coming hours will be critical in determining the full extent of the damage and the long-term impact on the community. Stay informed, stay safe, and heed the warnings of emergency officials. A flash flood emergency is the highest alert the National Weather Service can issue. It means a severe threat to human life is happening or imminent. This is not a routine warning. The declaration is reserved for catastrophic events, like dam failures or extreme rainfall over vulnerable land. It's issued when credible reports confirm water entering homes, rescues underway, or critical infrastructure failing. The goal is to cut through warning fatigue and jolt people into immediate action. The message: abandon belongings, leave low-lying areas, and never drive through flooded roads. Your life is more important than property. This declaration triggers a higher level of emergency response and mobilizes specialized rescue teams. It's a clear signal that the situation is beyond individual control and requires coordinated action. The alarm is ringing loudly over Ruidoso. The aftermath of wildfires leaves a stark and unsettling mark on the land. Burn scars from last year's wildfires are a grim reminder of nature's destructive power. These aren't just superficial blemishes. They represent a profound alteration of the ecosystem, a transformation that extends far beyond the charred trees and blackened earth. The landscape is now fundamentally different, and the consequences are far-reaching. These burn scars are at the heart of this disaster, a focal point from which a cascade of environmental problems originates. From an aerial perspective, the extent of the damage is even more apparent, revealing a vast canvas of destruction. The blackened mountainside serves as a stark visual representation of the vulnerability of our natural landscapes to the increasing threat of wildfires. Wildfires destroy not just trees, they obliterate entire ecosystems. The intense heat incinerates vegetation, leaving behind a barren landscape devoid of life. This loss of plant cover has a ripple effect, impacting everything from soil stability to wildlife habitats. The forest, once a vibrant and thriving ecosystem, is reduced to a skeletal framework of charred remains. But the damage doesn't stop there. Wildfires also fundamentally alter the soil's ability to absorb water, creating a water-repellent layer. This phenomenon, known as hydrophobic soil, occurs when the intense heat of the fire vaporizes organic compounds in the soil, which then coat the soil particles, making them resistant to water penetration. Rain now runs off these slopes like water on pavement, unable to infiltrate the ground. This dramatically increases the risk of flash floods and erosion, as the water flows rapidly downhill, carrying with it loose soil and debris. The once absorbent earth now acts as a conduit, channeling water with alarming speed and force. This phenomenon rapidly increases runoff volume and speed, transforming gentle rainfall into a torrent of destructive force. The increased velocity of the water amplifies its erosive power, carving channels into the landscape and destabilizing hillsides. The consequences can be devastating, particularly for communities located downstream from burn scars. The water picks up ash, a fine, powdery residue that further contaminates the flow. This ash-laden water darkens, becoming a murky and ominous stream, a visual testament to the environmental damage caused by the fire. It also gathers soil and debris, transforming into a thick, viscous slurry. Rocks, branches, and other materials are swept up in the flow, adding to its destructive potential. This mixture turns into a destructive slurry known as a debris flow, a powerful and unpredictable force of nature. Debris flows are capable of immense destruction, posing a significant threat to life and property. This mud flow can sweep away cars as if they were mere toys. The sheer force of the flow is enough to dislodge and carry away even heavy objects, highlighting the immense power of this natural phenomenon. It can demolish buildings, reducing homes and businesses to rubble. The weight and momentum of the debris flow can overwhelm even the strongest structures, leaving behind a trail of devastation. And it can clog drainage systems, worsening the flooding and creating even more hazardous conditions. Blocked culverts and drainage channels exacerbate the problem, preventing water from flowing freely and increasing the risk of widespread inundation. The danger from burn scars lasts for years, a persistent threat that lingers long after the flames have been extinguished. The altered landscape remains vulnerable to erosion and flooding, posing an ongoing risk to communities and ecosystems. This is especially true in the first few years after a fire, when the vegetation has not yet had time to recover and the soil remains highly susceptible to erosion. The newly burned landscape is a fragile environment, easily disrupted by even moderate rainfall. Ruidoso is currently in the highest risk period, facing an elevated threat of flooding and debris flows due to the recent wildfires. The community is particularly vulnerable, given the extent of the burn scars and the steep terrain that surrounds the town. Sadly, mitigation efforts have been overwhelmed by the storm's intensity, highlighting the limitations of even the most well-prepared communities in the face of extreme weather events. The sheer volume of rainfall has exceeded the capacity of existing infrastructure, leading to widespread flooding and damage. The legacy of fire is now written in water and mud, a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of natural disasters. The consequences of the wildfires are being felt in the form of devastating floods and debris flows, compounding the initial damage and creating a complex and challenging recovery process. Nature's one-two punch, the combination of wildfire followed by intense rainfall, has created a perfect storm of environmental destruction. This dual threat has pushed the community to its limits, testing its resilience and highlighting the urgent need for effective disaster preparedness and mitigation strategies. This has put the entire community in grave danger, threatening lives, homes, and livelihoods. The residents of Ruidoso are facing an unprecedented challenge, requiring a coordinated and sustained effort to protect themselves and rebuild their community. The landscape itself has become a threat, transformed from a source of beauty and recreation into a hazardous environment. The altered terrain poses significant risks, requiring careful management and monitoring to prevent future disasters. The impact on Ruidoso has been immediate and severe. Mandatory evacuations are underway for neighborhoods along the Rio Ruidoso and in low-lying valleys. Residents had little time to gather belongings as sirens and emergency calls urged them to flee. Homes are flooded to their windows, mobile homes swept away, and businesses inundated with mud. Debris flows have caused significant structural damage, compounding heartbreak for those already affected by wildfires. Major roads are closed, isolating the village and complicating emergency response. First responders are working tirelessly to reach stranded residents, but many are trapped, waiting for help. Emergency shelters are being set up in safer locations, with relief organizations mobilizing to provide aid. The immediate focus, saving lives and providing safe refuge. First responders are risking their lives to save others. Firefighters, police, and medics are going door-to-door in evacuation zones, helping residents escape. Swift water rescue teams are using boats to reach those trapped by rising waters. Every rescue is dangerous. Debris-filled water, unstable ground, and hidden hazards threaten both victims and rescuers. Emergency management is coordinating efforts from a command center, prioritizing the most critical needs. Downed power lines and gas leaks add to the danger, while damaged roads slow response. Despite immense challenges, these teams are working around the clock to protect their community. Their courage and dedication are a lifeline for Ruidoso. Officials are urging everyone to heed evacuation orders without delay. Move to higher ground immediately. Waiting could mean escape routes are cut off. Avoid all contact with floodwaters. Just 6 inches can knock you down, and 2 feet can sweep away vehicles. Floodwater hides dangers: washed-out roads, sharp debris, and downed power lines. Remember, turn around, don't drown. If not in an evacuation zone, shelter in place and stay informed through official channels. Prepare for power outages and have emergency supplies ready. Stay off roads to allow emergency vehicles through. Even after the rain stops, dangers remain. Floodwaters can linger and mudslides are possible. Wait for authorities to declare it safe before returning home. As the rain subsides, Ruidoso faces a long road to recovery. Damage assessment teams will inspect homes, businesses, and infrastructure to determine what can be saved. The emotional toll will be immense as residents return to mud-damaged homes and lost belongings. Community support and mental health resources will be vital in the weeks ahead. Attention will turn to rebuilding and future-proofing, improving infrastructure and restoring the landscape to prevent repeat disasters. These are long-term projects, but essential for Ruidoso's future. The community's resilience will be tested, but their strength and unity will guide them through. The story of Ruidoso will be one of survival, recovery, and hope.